Hello and welcome to the Kuribros, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime recap podcast. I'm your host, Forever DM, and slut for a good fantasy setting, I'm Phoenix. Joining me, the podcaster from America, it's Andy. How you doing, Andy?
I could fuck this burger.
You can fuck this burger.
You could fuck
Come
this
on
burger.
down to Burger King and get your balls blown off.
You can't say Burger King. We're gonna die now.
Come on down to Warg.
Welcome down to Burger Bing.
Welcome down to Hungry Burger King.
Isn't it called Hungry Jacks in Australia? I'm pretty sure that's what's called there. It's like
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's like kind of fun. Sorry about that. We were
I was sharing my shit posts with Andy.
we're talking before the recording. Sent me a message and first line was like, "Here, bro, you can fuck this.
Come on
burger."
down to Burger King. You can fuck this burger.
I was losing it. But it was
We're not here to talk about burgers, though. We're here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!
really it's thrown me off though. I've been completely bonkers out of my mind out since before we recorded this.
Gotta start with some loose energy. Keep it casual. Keep it fresh. People know.
So what happened last episode?
Last episode was Pegasus died.
I mean,
Or not.
I mean, you're kind of right. We'll never see Pegasus again in a canon format.
No, but we did see the end of the Duelist Kingdom, which was the final parts of Pegasus versus Yugi and Yami, resulting in Yugi and Yami Yugi winning the duel, saving the souls of Grandpa, Kaiba, Mokuba, becoming the king of games, winning a fat stack of cash, giving it all to Joey, and then something happened to Pegasus off screen. Bakura was possessed, not possessed, then repossessed. We got to meet Shoddy and do a little bit of a rehash of his parts in Season 0, going into the Soul and the Millennium Puzzle, getting some exposition on that. And then we all went home at the 5-minute mark of the episode after all that happened.
Which is, I don't really get that. Like, why could we like? It's because I thought they like did that kind of stuff to kind of pad things out, but then you over padded to the point where now it's going into the next episode. Well, and albeit like the next few episodes aren't necessarily important story wise, they are truly, as we'll kind of get into it more. It's the most filler shit we've kind of seen so far.
Yeah, it's borderline fan fiction.
You know, we talked about in the one duel with Yugi versus Joey, which is technically filler, that like it was kind of just like the best of their moves from the entire series. They just kind of did that again a little bit at some points where it's like, hey, remember this thing that they did earlier that we're creatively bankrupt on?
Yeah, I'll bring it up later, but there is a point where Yugi does say, "Oh wow, this is just like what happened in Duelist Kingdom," which is what I thought right before you said it.
That's literally what I thought the entire time we were watching those, at least I was watching those Legendary Hero episodes. It was just, it was definitely something. And it's like, those kinds of episodes, like, were not the ones I really remember watching too much as a kid. They were definitely ones they either never played too much because they were so in between, and, you know, cable TV was definitely a thing back in the day. So you couldn't see every single episode always. But, like, it was just these random bits in the story that kind of just barely, if not connected at all, or mostly just connected to anything filler that kind of comes in later. Like, we're gonna talk about this girl Rebecca in the next couple episodes, for the first 2 episodes we're covering, and she will come back later, but only in a filler format, only for filler stuff, like completely gone after that. And then the antagonist of the Legendary Heroes arc, the Big Five, which I guess they want an explanation of where they went because they kind of just disappeared in the story. They'll come back in the same vein as this one.
In a more annoying filler arc.
Yeah.
In a worse filler arc.
In a more dragged out filler arc, if I remember correctly.
They come back in a worse version of this.
Yeah. And you know what's even worse about this? That Tristan actually participates in some way.
Yeah, it's just, what if we took something that was so-so and we made it suck and we dragged it out for 20 episodes?
Was it 20 episodes?
I don't know how long it was, but it was a fair chunk. I mean, we'll get to it eventually.
Someday. I don't even know how I'll break that down, but we'll Well, that's for future us to deal with. We're still in season 1. That's like season 3.
Actually, I think now, is this the end of season 1? Or is this the start of season 2? When does that actually start? Do we want to say that actually starts once they say the words Battle City?
So I figured we were going by seasons, how they were distributed during the podcast. So the ending of season 1 is Dungeons and Dice Monsters, which we'll cover next episode, and that's where we're kind of ending our season 1. You're kind of hearing us literally kind of discuss things, but that is where we'll end with the season, and we'll kind of do those 4 episodes and probably give our thoughts on the season as a whole. Probably make it a little longer of an episode, because after that we'll kind of take a like recap break, and we're talking about doing a couple different things, which we'll talk about next episode, what those exactly are solidified as. But it starts with, I think the season starts with, I feel like it's the Taya date.
I checked, and the one I saw put it with the Bandit Keith.
Oh yeah, so it'll be the mystery duels, which kind of makes sense from what I was looking in the manga, because this is like kind of filler, kind of based off something completely different narratively, and then they go, okay, so then they'll have that Kaiba with meeting who he meets, and then it'll be the episode, and then I'm excited for this. I'm already looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go cover Battle City.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through and pace it out for us, probably after we're done recording this, so we can get that all planned out.
We're nothing if not on top of this, guys.
Yeah.
So let's get on top of it now and talk about... Okay, I'm just going to say this right off the bat, and I don't mean to say it at the beginning, and hopefully people don't kind of like shut it off after this, but these has probably been like the most drag I've had to feel watching a couple episodes, or like a few episodes, since we've started doing this.
I kind of had the opposite feeling.
Really?
Yeah, these episodes felt super light to me, and just like, yeah, this is fun. We're all cruising along. This is going quick.
Okay, I'll say that was more for the legendary heroes. I was enjoying it a little more. I didn't take any of it seriously, but I was also, I think the dub just kind of ruins it maybe a little bit.
Thinking on what I remembered of the dub for the Rebecca bits, and probably also the legendary heroes, I can see how that would make it a lot worse.
Like, I don't know how Rebecca's personality, and I'm sure we'll get into it when we get into it, but she was so annoying to me.
I thought she was funny.
I'm sure she was a lot funnier from what you told me.
Yeah.
Like, was her personality like really abrasively shrill and just like annoying, and like childish is one word, but this is just obnoxious.
It was childish, but I wouldn't say it was abrasive or shrill.
Like, she's an 8-year-old genius, but like it's contradicted by the fact that acts like a 5-year-old child.
She is 12 in the sub.
She's 8 in the dub.
Worse.
That's even worse. Maybe that's why they justified that terrible personality.
Another dub for the dub.
So how old should she be in the other filler arc that we're gonna cover soon? Was she like? I guess we'll find out later, but she probably has.
They'll say if she's older, but either still 12 or maybe 13.
She's clearly older, but I don't know how much, because I don't know. The time does not work well in this show, as we've noticed.
No, Duelist Kingdom was 2 days.
Boy, howdy. But let me get started, as I decided to be the one. Well, no, you decided for me, but I didn't really mind. But
yeah, we both know that if it's a fantasy thing, I'm gonna want to take the lead on it.
Yes, I actually have some questions about that when we get to it. But getting to Rebecca, I cover the episodes 41, 42, and 41 goes as such. As I mentioned in the last episode, the first 5 minutes are pretty much just wrapping up the loose ends of the Duelist Kingdom. Everyone's souls are back in their body, Seto and Mokuba Kaiba are reunited at last, and Eva Bakura has a new shiny toy as the friendship squad leaves the island and goes back home. We return to our lovable lads and Tristan back at the hospital that Solomon Moto was at during the duration of the competition. I'm pretty sure we're also able to see Yugi's mom, who I believe only shows up in the manga sometimes, and I know in the Japanese broadcast I just found out. Do you have anything on that? Because I actually meant to ask you.
I didn't even register that there was someone there who could have been a mom. I completely just glossed over it because I'm as a person, I'm not super invested in Grandpa.
Well, sure. But it could be a nurse, but she looked kind of familiar. She looked kind of like what the mom character would look like. I just didn't know if they extended anything because it looked so kind of. Sometimes I can tell when 4Kids really kind of edit something to fit whatever narrative, not really narrative, that sounds negative, but whatever kind of how the narrative they want to kind of present for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is placed out. I can definitely see some edits, but I didn't know if that was kind of the same case. But if you kind of glossed over it, you glossed over it. As they are presumably heading home, Yugi is telling Solomon about the adventures we saw our gang have on the island of apparent death when suddenly they find a young girl armed with a teddy bear and luggage waiting outside of the game shop. The girl introduces herself as Rebecca and says she has just traveled into Domino City to see Solomon Moto. After a little back and forth with the gang, she demands that Solomon Moto returns the Blue Eyes White Dragon card he has that is actually hers. Everyone in the Friendship Squad looks a tad bit puzzled as this demand, and also they know there is a problem with fulfilling this request. I'm sure Rebecca will be ripped to shreds to find out what it is.
To shreds, you say?
Rebecca explains that the Blue Eyes White Dragon belongs in the deck of a true champion, and she is one as she has beaten top duelists from all over the world. And in the dub, she is the #1 duelist in America. Eat your heart out, Bandit Keith.
In the sub, she also says she is the American champion duelist, and this relates to the reason why she wants it, because she says that the Blue Eyes White Dragon is originally from America, so it should belong in the American champion's deck. I don't know if they mean every Blue Eyes White Dragon is originally from America, because Pegasus is an American, he made the game, every card is therefore an American card. Should every card belong in America, or are we getting a little too America-centric here? What's Japan trying to say?
What's anyone trying to say with that?
Whatever Japan's trying to say, they're right, yes.
Every card.
Yes, of course America is too America-centric.
That's pretty obvious, but especially because they made the one really American character besides Pegasus have a American
flag and a gun.
The gun. Also, I'm pretty sure I can confirm, I guess we can talk about the next episode, I'm pretty sure I can confirm that the manga kills off Bandit Keith after what I was looking into, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah, a little side bit and a little spoilers for, I guess, nothing, but...
Yeah, speaking of Bandit Keith, Rebecca says in the sub that she heard from Bandit Keith that the Blue Eyes White Dragon was stolen from America by Grandpa Muto.
Which is a weird explanation, and I don't really like that, but... whatever, you know, I guess I can't ever get mad about stuff like this because it is filler and it is literally made for just like, we need to kind of push this so we can make other episodes or something. Because I'm sure they like kind of upped the production for the last 4 episodes.
The Friendship Squad does have a reaction to hearing Bandit Keith's name like, geez, that guy. So I guess they didn't assume he died when he fell into Pegasus's trap door and was ejected into the ocean.
He must have really swam like fast.
Well, as we all know, all Americans are great swimmers and have guns. That's how they move so fast. They fire the gun behind them to propel themselves faster.
What if he missed? What if he missed both times?
If he misses the ocean, I don't think he's a true American.
And he's more of a stormtrooper at that point. Well, either way, back at it. Yugi does remember reading something about a child duelist prodigy, but Joey really isn't buying it. Grandpa Muto asks how these credentials entitle her to his Blue Eyes White Dragon card, and she responds to accusations of thievery from old Grandpa. Yugi tries to defend his grandpa and tries to explain the truth, as torn up as he is. Rebecca is not hearing it, as she then challenges Grandpa to a duel, and the fucking teddy bear threatens to eat Grandpa alive. I really think the gang might be in over their heads with this one. I don't trust that teddy bear. We then find our gang in Kaiba Land, the most wonderful place in Domino City. We see lots of Kaiba's duel monsters like Saggi the Dark Clown and, Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Just so many Blue Eyes statues.
There's so many statues of Blue Eyes. It's just a little obsessive at this point. You gotta tone it down there, Kaibs.
Kaiba's definitely had a moment to himself looking in the mirror. Was like, I want to have my entire deck made of Blue Eyes White Dragons, but I can only have 3. Well, I'll show them. I'll make an entire park full of Blue Eyes White Dragons.
And then later, I'll have a bunch of Blue Eyes White Dragon support cards.
And then I'll make a jet out of a Blue Eyes White. And then he had to be taken to the hospital.
Again. we see customers playing in the park's duel arenas, which I think was kind of neat since like 90% of the world are duelists apparently in the anime. But I kind of would think that it would be kind of neat to have like as like a real thing if like, duel monsters arenas were like, just like you could go to like an amusement park, you could go to like an arcade or something, and there's like arenas where you could like duel or like play a card game. That'd be
The
kind of fun.
closest thing they ever got to it was I remember the card shop used to have like a dual terminal where there were special cards you could get out of it that you could like put on the machine, which didn't really translate directly to a 3D model thing. But recently this year I saw there was a guy who, of his own volition, made a project where he had like 3D glasses that were hooked up to like a Google Glass type thing, and he would download like 3D models to different monsters into little like chips, and he would put these chips into card sleeves of the corresponding card, so that when you were wearing the glasses and played the card on a special mat that could read the chip, it would then display for the glasses a 3D model, which is about as close as we're gonna get unless Konami realizes the gold mine they're sitting on and actually starts backing something like this.
Yeah, that's always kind of like how I thought they would have to do it, is like they'd have to have some sort of chip that would go to a sleeve that you could play the card in. But then I kind of think, okay, so what's so important about the card? Then you have the sleeve, but I guess for other things. But that's kind of, it's interesting. Maybe by the time we're 50, dual disc will actually finally be a thing.
Maybe when we're 50 years old, we'll be two old men in an Egyptian tune dueling it out in our last moments.
For water.
Andy, I'm gonna challenge you for our last bag of Doritos. No, I didn't bring water.
You just brought Doritos?
I'm a true gamer! And my heart gives out on account of my only Dorito diet. Impressive, I made it to 50.
I'm pretty impressed too, but you do have that good old American heart.
Yeah, powered by a gun. Gonna shoot the calories.
Anyway, back to the episode. Yugi asks Mokuba, who is apparently at the Kaiba Land 24/7, to use one of the arenas for his duel with Rebecca, and Mokuba is pretty much lax about bending the rules since, Yugi saved their literal souls. As they enter the arena, Yugi objects to Salmon participating in the duel as he just had, again, his literal soul return to his body and was a tad bit weary from the whole ordeal. Our main character of the series, Yugi, decides to duel in Grandpa's place. What are the odds? Rebecca happily agrees as she would be facing the newly crowned king of games and is unbothered as she and her murderous-ass teddy bear are confident she'll pull out the win. The duel begins, and Rebecca and that psycho teddy bear have a little pep talk with each other and then summon the Witch of the Black Forest in attack mode. Grandpa ponders who Rebecca is to him when he suddenly has a flashback to a time where someone else he dueled made the same first move, so, what are the odds?
Pretty high. Witch of the Black Forest has always been a good card.
It's also been a pretty good opening card, I feel like, in the early meta game.
Yeah, still is if you're doing something goofy. I play it with my Red Dragon Archfiend deck.
Hey, I'm sure it can still do some play somewhere. Yugi ponders the first move of Rebecca but falls through by summoning Celtic Guardian and attacking her monster. The witch is destroyed and Rebecca's life points are down to 1700. Rebecca is surprised and ponders her next move when Teddy Bear gives her advice, which I'm pretty sure is illegal play, but one, there's no judge, and that Teddy Bear is definitely murdered before, so I'm sure that's why it's left alone.
I'm pretty sure if both duelists have some alternate evil spirit lurking in an object they carry with them at all times, it sort of evens out, so I'm not going to sweat it too much.
Yeah, but Yami never participates in this duel, as far as I know.
He doesn't, but Yami has tried to kill a man.
No. No, he's fine. Rebecca then explains the Witch of the Black Forest's effect, which is to get another monster with up to 1500 defense points from her deck. Rebecca summons Sangan, to which Yugi responds by easily defeating it with the Celtic Guardian. Sangan allows Rebecca to get another monster, and that's when suddenly Rebecca's demeanor changes and gets a lot more serious and makes her a little more tolerable for a couple more minutes. She plays Tribute to the Doom, which makes her discard one card from her hand and it destroys Celtic Guardian. Rebecca ends her turn with a face down monster. Yugi then summons the summoned skull to attack the face down monster, which turns out to be the Millennium Shield with 3,000 defense points. I think I actually remember that card in like a McDonald's promo or something like another. Which I actually, I'm going to say this. I feel like a lot of the cards that are shown in this, like Millennium Shield, and I feel like there's that like desert chicken card in another few episodes that we're going to talk about. I'm pretty sure I've seen those in like McDonald's promo cards.
The Millennium Shield was a McDonald's promo card along with other cards that I wanted back in those days, like Cosmo Queen. Niwatori, the chicken you're forewarning about, was not a promo card. It was just a dumb chicken.
Okay, well, either way, there's definitely a couple cards that they're trying to kind of push out there in these few episodes. Yugi loses 500 life points, and apparently that one move was enough to make the gang think she's a serious duelist. She stops one of Yugi's monsters and suddenly, oh wow, maybe she is, like a champion of the world. He just stopped one of Yugi's attacks. Like, I don't know. Grandpa keeps getting flashbacks of the same moves from a duelist in the past. He then realizes he and a colleague of his, Professor Hawkins, or what is it?
In the sub, it is Hopkins.
Why?
Oh, Hopkins, the traditionally Japanese name.
Either way, apparently they played this very same duel. What are the fucking odds, right? After a little boasting from Rebecca and her killer friend, the bear.
The chef show?
What?
The chef show?
The chef show?
Yeah, isn't that the bear?
Is that his name?
I don't know. I thought there was... Yeah, with Jeremy Allen White. Isn't he like a cook?
I have no idea.
You can feel free to take this out if it's not connecting.
I mean, it's fine. It doesn't matter if it's connecting or not. I'm just so good. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the bear, Jeremy Allen White. A man who is at best a twunk.
You're talking about that Hulu show.
Yeah, that one.
I need to watch that show, actually. I've not watched anything, but I hear very, very good things.
I don't know why, but for the longest time, the only context I had for it was like the Yes Chef bit, which just made me think of, what the hell is it? Whiplash, with the rushing and dragging bit.
See, Yes Chef makes me think of Gordon Ramsay. I've watched a lot of Gordon Ramsay in my time.
Oh.
It's you know what? It's I'll say this, and I'm going off on something. Like watching like Kitchen Nightmares and like Hell's Kitchen, that's some pretty good like background to just like non-serious TV to watch. Especially watching just Gordon Ramsay just like roast fucking dudes' food.
Yeah, a lot of the times the people on those shows like deserve to get roasted and read for filth because they're just running a garbage operation.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're doing food poisoning. I'm going to read you the riot act.
Either way, the killer friend was the teddy bear, but Rebecca plays the spell card Ring of Magnetism, which weakens the shield's power, which kind of confuses our little Yugi. Yugi passes the turn because he doesn't really know what to do about this, and he's kind of at a stalemate. So Rebecca plays Cannon Soldier, which Grandpa warns Yugi about, but either way, Yugi uses Summon Skull to attack the Cannon Soldier, but its attack fails and is redirected to the shield monster, so nothing happens. And this is because of the Ring of Magnetism. That was like the whole bit with it. Rebecca then draws Shadow Ghoul and decides to leave it for later, so there's a little foreshadowing for you, as she then summons another Witch of the Black Forest, only for it to get sacrificed for Cannon Soldier's anime special ability, which makes a direct assault onto Yugi's life points, making him go down to 1100. You said there was a different effect?
Yeah, Cannon Soldier's actual effect is to tribute a monster to just do 400 points of damage, I think it was, which is actually, there's a number of infinite combos involving Cannon Soldier infinitely tributing monsters in one turn to win.
That would make a lot of sense, but either way, that's what she does. The cheer squad wonder if she was taught by someone as good as, Grandpa, which makes Solomon ask the question of Rebecca's last name. Rebecca reveals she is the granddaughter of his former colleague, Professor Arthur Hawkins. She believes Solomon stole the blue eyes from her grandfather, and now Yugi will pay for his crimes as the episode ends. Wow. What an episode. Do you want to add anything, or do you want to kind of leave your comments to when we're finished?
I'll save the one thing I didn't say then for the very end, just so I can do one big total up for it.
All right. Then we will go off onto episode 42, and we don't need chapters for it because it's all anime only. We pick up where we left off as the two grandchildren are doing the exact same duels their grandfather. Rebecca is adamant about Solomon stealing her grandfather's card. Solomon asks Rebecca to hear a story of his and the danger they faced. They being Arthur and Solomon. She won't hear it, but he still decides to tell it anyway. She's like, no. I don't want to hear it. He's like, well, let me tell you, years ago. In the past, Solomon went on a trip for an archaeological dig. I hope I didn't say that right, but whatever. I'm a professional. And was apparently unprepared as he ran out of water, apparently right away, is how he's telling it. But a kind man with a mustache gave him water that he almost choked on for the bit. Apparently, Hawkins was ahead of everyone on the whole dual monsters being linked to ancient Egypt. I don't know if this is the anime kind of like foreshadowing this, but it's also kind of like, whatever, do we need this? Do we not? I don't know. They like kind of go into a tomb and find hieroglyphics about contests like duels. They also see like ancient drawings that are on dual monster cards. I don't know if it's the same card for you, but they hold up the giant soldier of stone, and then there's a literal hieroglyphic of the giant soldier of stone.
That was also shown in the sub, and there's a quick question this raises. If these are supposed to be archaeologists who are just uncovering these sites, how did Pegasus beat them to this dig site and make a card before they found it?
Pushes the water thing and runs away. just like ridiculous. It's like, I don't know. It's this is where we kind of start going with questions. Like, I feel like there's questions where they kind of have plot holes more in these filler episodes than they actually do in the anime. Hawkins tries to bring this kind of truth to like the world, and everyone kind of laughs at him because saying, hey, this children's card game is actually based on dark shadow game duels sounds kind of hokey to a lot of people. Hawkins then invites Solomon on another trip to help with his research. In the research, he finds a mysterious link between the Millennium items and these dual monsters. The ancient tomb then caved in around the two, and they are trapped with no way out. Time passed, and they ran through almost all their rations except for a little bit of water that only is enough for one of them to drink. Hawkins proposes a way for them to keep them from despair, and he basically proposes a duel and is like, I'm like, hey, we're just going to pass the time by. Let's kind of like, do something to kind of like make us not, sit in the dark all sad, which is everyone's favorite pastime, sitting in the dark, sad.
That's what I do every day.
That's right. Solomon then counters with the prize of the water. He's like, hey, well, whoever wins should, get the water too. Rebecca then starts to refuse to hear the rest of the story, and the duel continues because we need to have a duel happen in a children card game show. Yugi plays Catapult Turtle to start his move, which uses the effect in combo with Brain Control to take the Millennium Shield and use it as the turtle's sacrifice. Yugi then attacks Cannon Soldier with Summon Skull and reduces Rebecca's life points to 200. Rebecca is contemplating her next move as she plays Judgment Blaster, which discards 5 cards from her hand and destroys all of Yugi's monsters. She then follows it up by playing Shadow Ghoul in attack mode, which increases the attack strength of her monster by 100 for every monster in her graveyard. 11 monsters raises her monster's attack to 2,700. Yugi objects to this strategy as Rebecca is disrespecting her deck and the monsters in it. Rebecca is appalled by these thieves she's basically appalled by these, what she believes are thieves, talking about monsters and how, caring about them, and then kind of throws it off and saying like, oh, monsters don't have feelings, they're just fucking cards, which kind of contradicts what Hawkins was kind of trying to prove, which is an interesting little opposite of the granddaughter with the grandfather. Yugi continues the duel with a face down monster and passes, but then Rebecca draws into our famous not anime card, but our famous card, Stop Defense, which brings out the Dark Magician only for it to get destroyed. Yugi loses 200 life points, and we are reminded again that this duel is happening exactly how Solomon and Arthur's duel went, which is just bonkers. Yugi plays Sword of Revealing Light, which makes Rebecca indifferent because she's like, whatever, you're just stalling, so she passed. Yugi plays Monster Born to bring back the Dark Magician, which, Rebecca also doesn't really care about. She's just confident that he's stalling, so she plays another Cannon Soldier in defense mode to kind of goad Yugi to attacking because, Yugi's a little torn about this because if he lets Cannon Soldier live, like, he could, do another direct assault onto his life points, which, can be bad. But destroying it only makes Shadow Ghoul more powerful. But Yugi decides the latter move is better. Rebecca passes again, but warns she will destroy him next turn. Yugi draws and ponders his next move as we kind of see the flashback parallel. And now we see both Solomon and Yugi do the same move, which is surrender. To basically the shock of everyone but Grandpa, Yugi is lost. Lost, quote unquote. Rebecca is elated as she runs to Solomon for a prize. One torn up blue eyes white dragon. Rebecca is viciously upset and refuses to hear his explanations as he's trying to, explain the fact. Professor Hawkins then appears as he scolds Rebecca for being an annoying little 8-year-old, or I guess 12-year-old. Bold move in front of the serial killer bear, I think, Hawkins, but more power to you. You're old, you've lived a long life. Hawkins then walks towards Yugi, explaining to Rebecca that Yugi was actually the winner of the duel, which, confuses and upsets Rebecca even more. Hawkins then compliments Yugi, being like, you're just like your grandfather, so kind and thoughtful and thinks of others, as he draws, the card that Yugi drew, which was Soul Release, which could have returned 5 cards to Rebecca from her graveyard, weakening her Shadow Ghoul. Yugi then would have been able to easily defeat the Shadow Ghoul and deplete Rebecca's life points, because I think she was only down to 200. Shadow Ghoul would have went down to 2,300, I think, and then Dark Magician could have handled everything from there. Yugi wanted to actually show Rebecca that in dueling, it does not matter about just winning and losing, but the way to the heart of the cards through your own heart. In the past duel, Hawkins was not looking very good as they were going off the duel because, they're older and probably he was getting very dehydrated and, weak. And so Solomon saw he could handle himself, so he surrendered so Hawkins could have the water. They are then literally rescued right after that happens. He gives him the water, then suddenly, hey, you down there? It's well, this is all for nothing. Hawkins teaches Rebecca to honor the cards she sacrifices for the strategy as she would Shadow Ghoul or something, whatever. He gave Solomon that Blue Eyes White Dragon as a token for his gratitude for teaching Hawkins what it means to follow your duelist heart. Solomon apologizes for the card being damaged, but Hawkins forgives him by saying, you still kept that card, because it didn't mean a card to you. It was a token of our friendship. And even if it is a ripped up card, you taped it back together and kept it because it's not just a powerful monster to you. Rebecca learns a lesson, I guess, and Yugi gives Rebecca the Ties of Friendship card he was awarded in Duelist Kingdom. The anime only card that we're only going to see now. I guess this was setting that up. We end the episode with laughter between old and new friends and a visual of the Ties of Friendship card with the Blue Eyes White Dragon card. And that's kind of where that whatever ends. What do you think about that?
I disagree. I think that if Yugi really wanted to be the winner of that duel, he should have played the Soul Release and beaten Rebecca. I think Rebecca won that duel, and she is now the king of games.
Well, she doesn't exist in the manga, so fuck you.
Yeah, that's why she had to lose. Small thing. Well, 2 things. 1.
Wait, hang on. To be fair, it wasn't an official match. There was no judge.
I think at some point later in the series, they do say that if Yugi ever loses, he's no longer the king of games.
Well, they didn't say it then. Doesn't count.
Fine. We'll just hate America for a while, I guess.
Hell yeah. Brother.
What did they do that was so bad? Don't answer. We have a time limit on this show.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't, but we like to keep it punctual, otherwise people lose interest.
Nah.
Pay attention to me!
Either way, what were your 2 things you wanted to bring up before I rudely interrupted you again?
One thing that happens is Arthur proposes the existence of God cards when he and Solomon are on an expedition.
Who knows? Maybe we could be seeing some God cards in the next season.
And another thing, which is something that just happens in the sub and just increased the amount of enjoyment I got from Rebecca, was she says, "Goddamn," 4 times in these 2 episodes.
Yeah, you don't get that in the 4Kids dub.
Don't worry, we'll keep it in when we remake it.
Yeah, Rebecca has to say goddamn, except we will not be doing the Rebecca episodes if we ever get our hands on the original series to reanimate.
You try and fucking stop me.
Oh, buddy. No Rebecca. No legendary heroes. No Noah.
We're leaving the legendary heroes in.
Maybe Seal of Orichalcos. If we can redo it a little better.
We could definitely do it better. But overall, I think these episodes were fine. I like seeing the monsters that were played, but overall, it doesn't really matter or play into anything. A card that didn't matter, the Ties of Friendship, is no longer in Yugi's possession and will never be referenced in canon again. Really, nothing changes from the start to the end.
I don't know. I kind of just did, like, if I had to pick, like, least favorite episodes of the series so far, it would probably be these. Like, 100%. Just because, I don't know, I just felt so kind of bored, and I didn't really like the whole, we're doing the same exact duel. It's like, I don't know, I get how the cards can be that kind of, like, explanation away of things, but I don't know. It just made me kind of feel nothing, and I was taken, when I was writing these episodes, I was like, I'm just kind of, I don't care. I just don't care. Like, let's move on. But that was kind of my takeaway with it. It's just, there's a whole lot of nothing. You don't even get to see Yami in these episodes, which doesn't necessarily detriment it. But I will say, I feel as though Yugi is not who he kind of is in, like, the manga. Like, little Yugi can hold himself a little better when it comes to, like, games. And, like, he did fine in this, but, like, I could tell he felt a little more, like he's a little more advanced, even if he doesn't have Yami. He seemed a little more like going Joey speed, which I don't like. It's just how I felt. But
well, here at the Kuribros, we know that your feelings are valid, even if you are wrong.
That's really it. I don't have much more to say about it. We can kind of now go on to our 3-parter arc.
Yeah, we're moving into the fun shit.
Question before we go into it.
What?
Did this feel kind of like, did the game itself feel kind of, not the Rebecca game, this game we're going to talk about, did it feel kind of like Legend of Zelda influenced to you?
Legend of Zelda, Dragon Quest influenced for sure, especially with some of the stuff we see from people outside of the game, looking at the people inside of it.
Like, some of the sprites and stuff, like, felt very, like, old-timey Legend of Zelda.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, so at least I'm not crazy.
No, you're just trapped in this room with me. So, moving on to episodes 43, 44, and 45, The Legendary Heroes, or Duel Monsters Quest, which is very much just a Dragon Quest spin on the name. It's a dark and stormy night at Kaiba Corp. Kaiba has returned and is tearing into the board of directors, who teamed up with Pegasus to kill Kaiba and take over the company. They are the Big Five, and some of their names are said, but I'm not going to bother to remember any of them because they definitely only said, like, 2 of their names, so who cares?
They have names?
Yeah. The Big Five, trying to save their jobs, tell Kaiba that they've made an adventure game based on duel monsters, and they challenge Kaiba to defeat it. If he cannot defeat it, then they get to keep their jobs and will not be fired and or killed for corporate treason.
They should be killed.
They should. Kaiba tells Mokuba that he knows that this is a trap, but he'll play along anyway, because when he beats their game, he will break their spirit, and they will not try to get revenge that they normally would if they were just fired. He should have just fired them.
Probably.
Kaiba hops into a VR pod and enters the game, putting his cards into a little slot to be read by the game. He finds himself in a misty forest and has his shitty dual-disc prototype wrist holder on. He walks along until he sees the twin-headed King Rex looming over the tree line, which he quickly dispatches with his trusty Blue Eyes White Dragon. As the Rex explodes, the monster Armored Ninja can be seen jumping between the trees, and it throws a card like a kunai at Kaiba. Kaiba tries to use the Blue Eyes to blast the card, but is revealed that the card that was thrown was the Dragon Capture Jar, which seals away his Blue Eyes.
Oh no!
The Armored Ninja then throws a net over Kaiba, like a carp, and Mokuba in the real world watches as Kaiba, in the pod, gets electrocuted. The doors to the pod room then seal shut, and the Big Five appears on the screen, taunting Mokuba and telling him that Kaiba's mind has been turned into data, and he'll never escape. Some security goons, and Kimo, from Pegasus, rushes to apprehend Mokuba, but Mokuba gets away through the air vents, taking Kaiba's deck before he goes.
He's a slippery fucker, ain't he?
Kaiba's gotta get like a wrist holder for his cards or something. like a remote wrist strap, because he keeps losing them.
Well, at least they're going to Mokuba most of the time.
Yeah, suspiciously often. Still dark and stormy, we see the Friendship Squad are at Grandpa's card shop, looking at some new stock Grandpa has, when Mokuba bursts in. Mokuba explains the last paragraph of my notes to them off screen. Mokuba also tells them that Kaiba's dream is to make Kaiba lands all around the world to make children happy. The squad, plus Mokuba, all go to Kaiba Land and use one of its simulation chambers to get into the game with Kaiba. But there are only 3 pods, so Yugi, Joey, and Mokuba will be the ones to go in.
So those simulators are in Kaiba Land, or were they in his like lab?
They went to a basement area of Kaiba Land.
They say it's a secret lab in the dub, but so you know what? I had a question for the end of all this, but you might have just cleared it up. We'll talk about when we get there. It's right at the end.
No, your question's super valid. I bring up its oddness too. I know what it is.
Okay, good.
Alright, so those 3 go into the pods, and the Big 5, back at Kaiba Corp headquarters, know that the game has been accessed, and they send Kimo and a squad of goons to get the boys and trap them in there just like Kaiba. Going forward, I'll be addressing the team of Yugi, Joey, and Mokuba as the 3.
You know, I just realized.
What?
Tristan's fucked in this. If Kimo actually got through, because we already know Kimo can kick Tristan's ass. We've seen it happen. So they don't have a very good line of defense with Tristan and Taya.
Fortunately, well, if Kimo and Tristan run the ones, then Kimo's gonna win every time. But I don't know, Taya's kind of a powerhouse. She's an undefeated duelist. It might be too much to stop him.
Yeah, but he's not a duelist. He's a fistus.
Alright, I forgot. Kimo doesn't play by Yu-Gi-Oh rules. He'll just shoot you.
Shoot? What's that? You mean angrily point?
No, he tried to shoot Kaiba, but Kaiba, being a card-throwing champion, was able to stop it. But I don't think Taya or Tristan always carry cards on them, so I don't think that trick will work twice.
Jesus Christ. Well, either way, Tristan's fucked.
Yeah, rip Tristan. We hardly knew ye, or cared. Now entering Fantasyland, the 3 start making their way through the game world and are crossing through a cemetery when a group of zombie monsters, the same 3 that Bones used against Joey in fact, rise from the earth. Mokuba and Yugi pull Rude Kaiser and Dark Magician from their decks and destroy the monsters, which come back immediately, but they're a little stronger. Joey plays Flame Swordsman and attacks, but now the zombie dragon is stronger than his monster and counterattacks, making Joey lose some life points. Yugi reminds Joey of his duel with Bones, and Joey uses the shield and sword combo to make the zombie squad go to 0 attack points, and now when they are destroyed, they are permadead.
It's crazy how Joey forgot about that.
Well, he had some character growth between then and now. It's understandable.
Mm.
The gang gets some loot in the form of 5 currency from the mobs, and the 3 extrapolate that the shitty dual disc wrist holders they have show the player's life in the game, and Joey worries what will happen when it reaches 0. I wonder what will happen if you boost it up super high. Just play some life gain strategy throughout this thing.
I want to live forever.
The 3 notice a little fairy hiding behind a gravestone, which they follow to get out of the cemetery, and then they spy a town in the distance. The 3 then go to this town, which is on the outskirts of a desert, and see that there are powerful cards for sale in the marketplace, but they're turbo expensive. The 3 then split up to ask around for info about where Kaiba could be, and we get a little montage of hijinks of them doing side quests around town, being thrown out of bars, and chased by a dog.
Literally bit on the ass by a dog, actually.
Yeah, right in the butt. Mokuba learns that there was someone who was taken to OS Temple in a cage across the desert. The 3 try to make it across the desert on foot, but are repelled by a sandstorm. Very video gamey. A conveniently placed old man NPC tells them that they need a Niwatori card to cross the desert, and repeats this dialogue line several times because he's just an NPC and can only say so much. Niwatori itself is a kinda cartoony chicken-looking thing.
Yeah.
Back in reality, Kimo has arrived at Kaiba Land to be evil. To pass time, Tristan and Taya are doing nothing, but upon seeing the goons have arrived, they start to barricade the doors. Back in the cool part of the story, the 3 have not managed to find a Niwatori, but then Yugi sees a sign that offers a prize of Niwatori to anyone who can beat the champion of the Shadow Coliseum. The 3 go to the Coliseum, and a toady-looking dude gives them a mask and cape to wear if they're going to take part in the challenge. Joey opts to take the challenge, and he enters the arena introduced as Joe the Wolf Killer, and is going against the champion, Butterfly, who has a masquerade mask in the shape of a butterfly and some very familiar blonde hair.
Wait, is it a wolf mask in the sub?
No, they call him Joe the Wolf Killer, and they introduce him as like, yes, this brother protects his 2 other pig brothers and kills any wolf.
They... I forget. It's some sort of Porky. It's like the Porky name. Well, they call him in the dub. It's something stupid.
The dub is so disrespectful.
They were really playing it for yucks more than anything. It's like facetiously joking in the sub because like, yeah, you could say he's a wolf killer if he's got two little pigs he's protecting, and but it's a silly cartoon. But this one, they just go full Porky Pig with it. I don't know.
I guess they kind of had the rights because it was put out on the same stuff as WB Network.
Who knows, dude? Who knows?
Yeah, whatever. Moving on. Episode 44, Still Dark and Stormy. Taya and Tristan are holding the door shut against the goons sent by the Big Five. I think the doors here are all sliding doors, so I don't think barricading it with a desk can really keep it shut that well. But this isn't the fun plot, so I'm not going to dwell too much on any of it. In the video game world, we hear a very familiar oh ho 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 laugh from the Coliseum champion, Butterfly, who taunts Joey. Joey plays the Flame Swordsman, his only real monster so far that he's done in these 2 episodes, and Butterfly plays Harpy Lady. Joey attacks, but Butterfly blocks with Mirror Wall, and Joey thinks that this play looks familiar. Butterfly plays Rose Whip, equips it to Harpy Lady, and begins to attack, but at that point Joey takes off his mask and, revealing himself, Butterfly does the same, revealing the best character in the show, My Valentine. Applause and cheers go here.
Woo!
Yugi and Mokuba join Mai and Joey in the arena, and the 3 explain why they're in the game. After hearing this, Mai uses Harpy Lady with the Rose Whip to steal the Niwatori card, and the heroes make a quick getaway, with Joey using the Trap Hole card to stop their pursuers.
I feel like that's the first time I've ever seen Trap Hole in the anime.
It might be. Big hole.
I think there might be one more time.
Out on the desert, Mai summons the Niwatoris for them all to use to cross the desert, and as they do, Mai tells them that she's in the game because she was invited to test it but got trapped inside. A monster then rises from the sand and attacks, but Joey destroys it with red eyes, which ends the sandstorm. If it sounds like I'm covering a lot of plot things really quickly, it's because I am. They just keep going.
They gotta make it done in 3 episodes.
They make it to the other side of the desert where there's a temple on the rock face wall, and the heroes all enter it and find a tunnel inside, which they traverse until they come across a maze. I'm reminded of the Duelist Kingdom transition from the Bones duel into the Paradox Brothers, and Yugi makes the same connection that they're doing all of their greatest hits from Duelist Kingdom.
Yep, greatest hits.
Hearing a scream from inside the labyrinth, Joey rushes in. Those still at the entrance are forced to follow when a labyrinth tank busts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and tries to run them down. The heroes are all chased until they're pinned at an intersection by 3 labyrinth tanks, which are about to use lasers to destroy them, not their drills, when Yugi uses magical hats to get everyone out of that jam. Fortunately, all the heroes are under the same hat, so they're not split up in the labyrinth, but the heroes can hear the tanks moving again, so we aren't safe yet. The fairy from the cemetery shows up and then guides the heroes to a princess that looks like Mokuba. The princess says Earu can show them the way out, and I'm gonna assume that's the name of the fairy. At the exit to the labyrinth, the Gate Guardian is blocking the door. Yugi and Joey make Black Skull Dragon, Joey puts dragon nails on it to make it stronger than the Gate Guardian, and they defeat it with very little fanfare.
Woo.
And after doing so, a group of soldiers and some maid-looking lady show up who are looking for someone named Mary, who is revealed to be the princess that looks like Mokuba.
Does it seem a little weird that the princess that looks like Mokuba in the Kaiba game?
It's definitely weirder that in the sub, this game was made by the Big Five.
Yeah, because in this dub, I'm pretty sure it's Kaiba made the game, but they reprogrammed it, is how they explain it. So,
having this decision made by 5 grown men is a little weirder.
I don't like it. It's gross.
Yeah, this is probably something we'd cut out in the remake.
Yes, very much so.
Speaking of cutting out, we now cut back to Kaiba, who has been crucified and is in a cave with some bubbling magma. He is accosted by the witty phantom monster, who says that Kaiba is going to be sacrificed to the 5-headed dragon, and that another sacrifice is on the way.
Gee, I wonder who.
The heroes, now on the surface, are being escorted in carriages along with Mary. They're brought to a fantasy kingdom of Goland, and are given a feast for helping Mary. Mary explains that Kaiba is going to be sacrificed to appease the 5-headed dragon, and Mary will be too, and that Kaiba is currently at a castle in the sky, which is the Castle of Dark Illusion that Panic played. Just a little darker, somehow. She explains further, because she's just an exposition dump, that there's a legend about a ship that was once used to go to the sky 1,000 years ago. Mai says they could just use flying monsters, but Mary says the castle is defended against that. Mary keeps expositing that there is also another legend about the mightiest dragon and soldier standing together against the evil god that will be destroyed. Joey is pumped up about all this fantasy stuff.
Frankly, so are we.
Yeah, love it. Fancy clothes are now provided for everyone. Yugi and Mokuba get in little knight attire, Mai in a women's knight attire, but far from the worst I've ever seen in an RPG, and Joey is dressed like a barbarian. Joey is showing more skin than Mai, but he's a minor, so I don't think we can really call this equality.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, funny you mentioned that.
Oof. Lightning then strikes and a horde of monsters begin to descend upon Goland. Yugi tries to use Dark Hole to take the monsters all out at once, but the armored ninja from before shows up and throws a kunai through the card.
Stop doing that.
Might be for the best since Dark Hole affects the whole field and would have possibly killed the players if you just unleashed that in the middle of it.
Well, I think it only destroys the monster, so I think that's how they could have gotten out of it. And plus, it would have probably been effective if Armored Ninja was stopping it.
Joey did use Trap Hole on townspeople, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'll fix this! Ends the world.
I mean, one way to beat the game.
Can't lose the game if there is no game.
Can't lose the game if you nuke everyone.
Speaking of the game, someone just lost it.
Ah! Fuck!
Got him. The armored ninja then uses a net to catch Mary like he did Kaiba, and Joey destroys the net with his axe raider and its kunai with chain.
Oh yeah!
But another monster then takes Mary away anyway. Seeing this, Mokuba in the armor is revealed to have been Mary, and the Mary that was taken was Mokuba. They parent-trapped / Prince and the Paupered it, so Mokuba would be brought to Kaiba. Whilst thinking of how to get to the Sky Castle, Yugi looks out and sees a geoglyph of a bird, which has ruins in the shape of a card around it. Mary has the kingdom all search for a way to use the ancient flying machine, but the kingdom comes up short. Yugi then recalls the story using the metric of 1,000 years, so Yugi, Joey, and Mai go to the geoglyph, where Joey uses Time Wizard to turn back time by 1,000 years. The ruins are restored, but no ship has appeared, until the geoglyph begins to break apart, and before we see what happens next, we cut to the real world to be reminded that Taya and Tristan are characters who exist.
They are?
Yeah, but they're not doing anything. Moving on, episode 45. The people of Goland are watching on in awe as the legendary flying machine is unearthed. It looks like Va Mado from Breath of the Wild, but with more propellers. Google it. Earu, the fairy, joins the heroes as they ascend, and Joey takes the helm. As the heroes approach the castle in the sky, they repel a force of monsters, but still sustain damage. Yugi then uses the Swords of Revealing Light to buy time, and mourns Earu, the fairy, who got bitch-slapped into dust.
Yeah, that was like a little weird because... Oh, wait. Sorry, did you say the Yami Yugi stuff yet?
Well, I was about to, because after seeing this NPC fairy get turned to dust, now Yami comes out and says the awkward line, "I'll make you pay, the big five." Calm down, Starfire.
Like, this is the first time we see Yami in about 3 to 4 episodes.
Yeah, he's been busy.
Doing what?
Remodeling.
Sure. That's exactly what he's been doing.
The flying machine takes another big hit from the Sky Castle, and the heroes are forced to abandon it. But they've already gotten through whatever barrier repels flying monsters, so now they have to use theirs to get in, as Mai suggested before. Back in Magma Crucifixion Hell, Kaiba is again being taunted by the witty Phantom, who has brought Mokuba by mistake, but still begins the ritual. Mokuba uses the Sword Stalker monster to free Kaiba before returning Kaiba's cards to him, and then Kaiba uses the Blue Eyes White Dragon to destroy the Phantom in a very agonizing way. That's very sudden.
Fuck you.
He and Mokuba then make their escape. Another group of armored ninjas try to stop them with the Dragon Capture Jar again, but Kaiba's ready this time and uses Trap Master to destroy it. Yami, Joey, and Mai are now on the castle, moving through a dark forest, but they are beset by insect-type monsters. Killer needles, Hercules beetles, and even a man-eater bug shows up to destroy one of Joey's monsters.
Whoa.
Yami uses Mirror Force to destroy the bugs that are attacking them, but this causes a bunch of cocoons of evolution to hatch and make a new, bigger problem. To solve this new, bigger problem, Yami turns to God for an answer and summons the god of this game, Kuribros, and also plays Catapult Turtle. Yami uses Catapult Turtle to launch Kuribros and uses Multiply to fire an infinite number of Kuribros, which might be a new war crime.
You know, this is how you know the crew won. This is like, as soon as Kuribros came out, I was like, all right, they already automatically won. Everything else is just fanfare.
The moths then fall to the ground in flames, and we see the Big Five are watching the heroes progress like it's a Dragon Quest overworld and stand up to do something evil.
Ugh.
The Kaiba brothers then meet up with the rest of the protagonists in a large cavern when the voices of the Big Five can be heard. Kaiba taunts them, saying he won and the Big Five turned the cool fantasy world into a lame circuit board nothingscape.
Oh, very fun final stage.
Yeah, I hated it. The five-headed dragon then appears, which is a huge dragon body the color of spicy mustard, with 5 different heads. One made of flames, one blue with aquatic frills, one beige with a jagged rock on the crown, one black with spines pointed backwards, and one machine-like head. Mai summons her harpy ladies to attack, but the Big Five reveal the ground to be the card Lord of D, which makes the field sacred dragon ground where only dragons can battle. The heroes then all summon their own dragons: Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Harpy's Pet Dragon, and Cursive Dragon. It's very funny to me that Yami has the weakest of these.
I know.
They all attack, but to no avail, as 4 of the 5 heads block each attack, and then the 5th head makes a counterattack at Mokuba, who did not participate in the attack. Joey throws his red eyes in front of this attack, and his life points go to 0, causing him to disappear into dust while throwing up a Terminator 2 style thumbs up.
And it seems to go by like Matrix rules, where it's like if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life.
Yeah, which they kind of are only really expositing more on that now, when Joey brought it up when they entered the cemetery.
It's like, you die in here, you die for real. Okay, Yugs, goodbye.
Yami tells Kaiba about the prophecy about the mightiest dragon and knight teaming up, and uses the Blackluster ritual to summon Blackluster Soldier. The Big Five attack, and now Mai blocks with her dragon, causing her life points to also hit 0, and she gets dusted.
No!
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Aw.
Kaiba decides that now is the time for ego, and refuses to summon the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon just because it was Yami's idea.
Okay, Vegeta.
The Big Five then attack Kaiba, and now it's Mokuba's turn for a noble sacrifice. With the death of his brother, Kaiba's now properly motivated, makes the Blue Eyes Ult Dragon, which Yami fuses with Blackluster Soldier to make Dragon Master Knight. Dragon Master Knight is empowered by all the dragons on the field, which is almost its real effect. It attacks the 5-headed dragon with 9,000 attack points and destroys it. Its actual effect is it gains 500 attack for every other dragon you control.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's probably still wouldn't be powerful enough.
It'd be strong enough to get rid of it if they... For some reason, they bring back Red Eyes and Harpy's Pet Dragon, which is nothing to do with its effect because it doesn't resummon anything, but I guess they just needed the numbers. It doesn't matter.
I think it was more for like, oh, they were destroyed kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it would have been cooler if that was its effect. It's already an impossible to summon monster. Might as well give it a decent effect.
True.
Regardless, once the dragon has been defeated, Yami and Kaiba are transported back to Goland, where the kingdom is celebrating them. Princess Mary turns into the mystical elf for some reason, brings back everyone who died, even the fairy Earu. A portal out of the game then appears, and the heroes leave. Back in the real world now, they're released from their pods, just as Kimo and his goons show up. Seeing that kids are alive, they get frightened and run away, because they might lose their jobs. They do. Mai is then also revealed to have been in another pod in the literal next room over.
Yeah,
it's weird.
This is where I kind of have that question, because the way they explain it in the dub is she's doing like a testing for the Big Five, but they also established that this is like Kaiba's secret laboratory with prototypes, so why is she in the other room if it's a secret lab?
Yeah, it's really weird.
I don't know.
The episode ends with Mokuba going back to Kaiba and the rest of the squad going to go get food.
As one should. It's been a long day.
I have a bit in my notes here that just says bit about Mai goes here. When we had started doing this, I'd kind of already planned out some bits in advance that I was going to do because I like to prep my comedy. And I was going to have a bit about would Mai sell Gamer Girl bathwater. But as the show went on and we did more about her, I actually came to like Mai more than I wanted to do that dumb joke about her, because I think Mai is actually just a really good, well-rounded character. That being said, I'm still going to be unhinged about Mai, and there was a weird moment where after they'd put on their Fantasy World armor, Mai said, well, Yugi was telling Mai that she didn't have to keep sticking it out with them, and Mai said, I can't just end mid-stream. This is an early 2000s show, and Mai's talking about being a streamer in that time, playing a beta game. Like, Mai is a pioneer of the gamer girl genre.
She's ready. She already knew. She's ahead of her time, just like most things. She's obviously ahead and far away from everyone else.
She would do fucking numbers on Tumblr. She would do fucking numbers on Twitch. There are too many websites that start with T. I was like, she's doing numbers on Twitter. No, but yes. What's the other one?
Twitch.
Twitch.
But Yeah, no, she would too. But honestly, she was one of the more enjoyable characters of these filler episodes, and kind of stayed the most consistent. Maybe because she doesn't really need too much yet, but there's like it's an easy way to kind of get around with her personality. But I don't know, she was cool. I liked it.
Yeah,
always great.
Yeah, I think these three were fun filler stuff. I can see how little bits and pieces of it made their way into the Falsebound Kingdom game I bring up every now and again. Five-Headed Dragon's neat. Dragon Master Knight looks cool. Like to see these characters. Won't see Maya again for a fair stretch, probably, so nice to get that last little bit of her here.
Yeah, she'll be around sooner than later, but it is going to be a bit before we see her again properly. That's okay, though. Well, not okay, but, like, you know what I mean? It'll be worth the wait.
I'll celebrate her return all the more.
I know you will.
And then the pain will begin.
But that kind of ends this little stretch of non-canon episodes, no manga, just kind of sitting here talking about, padding. And we kind of are now going into the end of season 1 for not only the show, but for us, where we will be covering Dungeon Dice Monsters, which I actually think is a really cool addition to the story. And I like the Duke Devlin. I think he's a pretty decent character who comes a cool, like, Friendship Squad character later. Spoilers. And then I'm sure we'll kind of go into, like, our thoughts overall on season 1 and kind of really touch that. We'll kind of make the episode a little longer just so we can kind of, like, make room for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. And then after we cover that, did we want to say what our plans are for between season 1 and 2 of coverage?
I don't know. We'll talk about that next episode. We'll just, because I actually want to talk to you about a couple of the ideas.
Yeah, let's tease the people out there. Let them know something's coming, but they don't know what.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can say we will be taking a break for, like, the next 2 episodes after episode 12 to do special things about other stuff.
Covering non-Yu-Gi-Oh material.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, covering non-Yu-Gi-Oh material. Just some fun stuff just to kind of break it up a little bit, and then so it gives us a little time to get Battle City ready.
Yeah, and also give you guys a taste of other stuff we can cover, and hey, maybe someone will drop a comment on something they want us to go over, and we'll do it.
Hey, we like other things. It's not just Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I like lots of things. I like Yu-Gi-Oh. I like My Valentine. There's probably a third thing.
Something in there. But that's really it for this episode. There's not really much to talk about. I think we kind of said I said everything I really need to say. These kinds are just, whatever episodes. I don't really like the Rebecca episodes. These last 3 were a little better. They are what they are. Can't really say much about them. They don't really make a very big impact on anyone. At least I don't think so. At least they don't do an impact on me, and we can kind of move on. I'm ready for Dungeon Dice Monsters.
Yeah, they're fun nothing burgers before we get back to plot relevant things. It's fun. It doesn't matter. Watch it, skip it, your call.
I mean, watch it to support the release, but I understand if you don't care for it.
Yeah.
With that kind of going off, we can wrap it up here. Do you want to give your socials?
I would love to. People can find me on the internet at twitch.tv/PhoenixFarce and youtube.com, also at Phoenix Farce. That's PhoenixFarce. There you can find me playing video games, mostly digital card games, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, Magic Arena, Marvel Snap, playing some other games here and there as it suits my fancy. Come by for a fun, casual time. Where can people find you? Not here.
So I have an Instagram at Andy Papasergi, PAPPASERGI. I don't really have much in the way now. Hopefully I'll have more stuff as we go on, but I still will be posting either music stuff, art stuff. I'm kind of working on a few things that hopefully we'll kind of see some light soon. And other than that, you can find all of our Kuribros stuff. We have Instagram, Twitter, all the socials, and you can find those in our links below. All right. Well, that will be it for us. My name's Andy.
I'm Phoenix.
Giddy up and goodbye.
That 12-year-old said, "God damn!"